And when you have a sea bass putting up 12 points on some Dolphins, yeah, that's one powerful sea bass. Welcome back to Week 5 NFL Power Rankings. This time we're going to be doing a ranking 1 through 16 because all the teams under 16, they don't matter to us anymore. Let me know what you think about all my terrible comments in the comments. Let's get started. This past week we got to see a couple tank bowls, and now we know who the worst of the worst is. It is the Panthers and the Bears. Unfortunately, this is just not getting funny anymore, so we're just going to drop all that off, and we're going to move on and just do the ranking through 16. The 16 teams worth talking about, I guess. Okay, so at 16, we're going to have the Browns. Yeah, they lost this week, and maybe they don't deserve on the top 16 teams right now. However, I think they are a decent team, the best team that we've seen out of Cleveland in a very long time. Deshaun was injured. They don't have Nick Chubb, though they won't have him for the whole year. Their backup, Robinson, did not do the job. He was not very dominant at all. I think he gave a little bit of a morale hit for the whole team, including the defense. They did really terrible. Again, maybe they don't belong even on the list, but I'm going to have them at 16 for now, and I think they'll go up as the season goes on. For the next 4 entries, it's going to be the entire AFC South. Each one of those teams is 2-2 right now. We don't know what any of them are doing, so they all get to make the list. The Titans, not sure if they're a good or bad team. They walked all over my Bengals, held us to 3 points, so, I mean, Henry went off, which he hadn't done for the entire rest of the season so far. So yeah, you know what? They are going to get in the top 16 as part of their division. Then at 14, we're going to have the Texans. They beat the Steelers up pretty bad. CJ Stroud is starting to look like that guy. And there's a lot of hope down there in Houston right now. So dropping stuff under the bar. Where was I? CJ Stroud is looking like the real deal. Great rookie pickup for them, and I think they're going to continue to be doing good things. This division's going to be very tight, as it already is, and there's a lot to be excited about there in Houston. Make sure you tackle that like button. After that, we're going to have the Jaguars, who got to get a win there at their home stadium in London. The game with the Falcons, if you look at the stat lines, was more or less even. Obviously, the Jags came out a little bit high in there, but what they did do was they capitalized on turnovers. They didn't allow any to happen against them, and they capitalized on the ones that they forced. So, good job, Jaguars. At number 12, we're going to have the Colts, somehow. Well, they didn't win, but they did let the first half of that game get away from them. They brought it back in the second half to get it into overtime and wound up losing anyways. But Zach Moss had a nice 70 yards on the game, and honestly, I think that they're a mid-team, but I think they're pretty all right. They at least get to make the list this week. We'll see how that goes going forward. At number 11, I'm going to have the Seahawks. Honestly, I'm recording this on Monday. They haven't played yet. The way I see it, they're probably going to deserve the spot. If they lose to the Giants, all right, they deserve to be lower. But if they win, I think this is where they belong. So we'll just leave it at that for now. At number 10, a team that doesn't deserve to be here, I'm going to have the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, I wanted them above the Colts, but the Colts led the AFC North, and since I decided to put them all in as one chunk, the Packers had to get moved up all the way to 10. I suppose I could have put them below the Seahawks, but the Seahawks haven't played yet, so we don't know if they deserve 10 or 11. Yeah, I'm kind of just poking holes in my own video here. Anyways, the crap fest that is the Green Bay Packers. Love had a decent game overall, 246 yards, nothing too special. He hasn't had a whole lot of starts. Overall, the team, they're growing. They're getting into their own. They didn't control the clock very well. That's something that needs improving, and they had no run game whatsoever to speak of. So honestly, if the Green Bay Packers can learn how to run and just become a cohesive unit, I really do think that they'll have a run at playoffs. But right now, Lions and them just kind of seems to look like the Browns and Bengals games do. Sorry, Packers. At number 9, I'm going to have them boys. Yes, the Cowboys. They had no turnovers themselves on this game, and they were on the correct side of 3 turnovers. They had none on their side. They had absolutely destroyed the Patriots and delivered Belichick his worst loss ever, possibly. So, good job, Cowboys. I don't often like you, but I still don't like you. Number 9. Pour yourself a fresh subscription to TSST. At number 8, we're going to have the Bucs. I think this is a well-deserved spot for the Buccaneers right now. Leading their division, they're 3-1, and they had a great game again. Baker Mayfield seems to be coming into his own, which I like to see. I feel he hasn't gotten a fair shake the past few years and has taken the brunt of a lot of things that were outside of his control. In this last game, they didn't even let the Saints do anything but kick it. They forced them to only use the boot, and that is what playoff caliber teams do. And they managed to use the boot effectively themselves, which is what playoff caliber teams do. I think the Bucs are going to be making the playoffs this year, and they're going to be strongly in the number 8 spot for now. At number 7, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put the Ravens. They gave the Browns a hot shellacking. A hot shellacking that possibly only a Bengals fan could also understand. Because we got a hot shellacking too. Just had to put it in there. My Bengals aren't good enough to make a list of the top 50%. So I'm going to complain about them with the divisional opponent that is leading the division now. Okay? God. Yeah, so the Ravens gave the Browns a hot shellacking. They look like a very good team. They're not over-relying on Lamar for the run game right now. They're looking like a scary team. I am not looking forward to having to play them again as a Bengals fan. I think that at this point, they're probably going to take the division. So, yep, they're going to be number 7. At number 6, we're going to have the Lions, just running the ball down the Packers' throat. Getting a great win over a divisional opponent that puts the Lions in a very nice spot right now. Moving forward, they're going to be doing great. I think that they are going to be the winners of their division at this point. Still early in the season, sure. But the Lions are looking like the real deal. Years of putting the pieces together is finally culminating. And, yeah, I think that they're going to keep giving out hot shellackings as the season goes on. At number 5, we're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't want to put them this high, but I do think that they are good enough to be this high. They don't look as good as years past, but even not looking as good as years past, they look excellent. They did let Zach Wilson look good this week, which is embarrassing in its own right. So you should feel shame, Chiefs fans. Tay-Tay was there to watch another commanding lead and see her boyfriend show off, and you let the Jets stop that from happening. Ugh. And that's why you're going to be all the way down at number 5 right now. You might have been able to have the number 4 spot, but you didn't do it. Not almost letting Zach Wilson win. Number 5, Chiefs. The Dolphins would be number 1 if they had beaten the Bills, but instead they let the Bills just go and piss in their tank. Well, you can't be number 1 if there's piss in your tank. Yes, the Dolphins, looking like a decent team, managed to still lose to the Bills, who look so dominant. They're going to be fighting the Bills for a top spot in the East, and it's going to be really interesting to see going forward which one of those teams wins this division and which one of them has a great record as the top wild card spot. So, yeah, look forward to that. Dolphins at number 4 for now. At number 3, we're going to have an Eagles. Though they almost lost this week, they didn't. And, an undefeated team going into week 5, well, they're going to have to be in the top 5 of the rankings. That's just the way it works. Plus, I do think the Eagles are a good team. They had 175 yards out of A.J. Brown, which is impressive, with 319 air yards coming from Hurts. This team is not hungover at all. They're at number 3, and I have a feeling they're going to stay in the top 5 for the whole season. At number 2, we're going to have the 49ers. I gave them a slight edge over the Eagles, but honestly, it could be a coin flip for which one's in 2 or 3, or hell, even whoever gets number 1. I think y'all know who that is getting this week. Anyways, the top 5 spots of my rankings right now could honestly be a coin flip and are probably going to shuffle around, but I think they're going to stay solidly in the top of this list, all 5 of these teams. Yeah, the 49ers, slight edge over the Eagles, though. I'm going to give them the number 2 spot going into week 5. Yeah, they got to beat up on the Cardinals, though the Cardinals held in there a little bit, a team that I think we all thought was going to tank this year, but then teams that aren't supposed to be tanking are doing so bad. I feel like the Cardinals are like, oh no, we need to take that back and try. So, yeah, either way, they had a nice commanding lead, and that's really why I gave them 2 over the 3 spot with the Eagles, because they looked better winning. Not that the Eagles look bad, but they had to go into overtime. 49ers did not. So they get number 2. At the number 1 spot, we're going to have the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I know they're not undefeated because of that weird week 1 situation. Yeah, that was wonky. I'm going to take it as a write-off. I feel as long as it's just a 1-game write-off, by the time you get into this part of the season, it's fine. Yeah, the Bills had a commanding win over the Dolphins. A Dolphins team that should not be messed around with, mind you. So yeah, they squished the fish. It happened. They had Seabass come out and kick 12 points. And when you have a Seabass putting up 12 points on some Dolphins, yeah, that's one powerful sea bass. Let me tell you. King of the ocean right there. So, Dolphins have nothing on the sea bass, and that's why they get number 1. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed Week 5 NFL Power Rankings. We switched it up to do 16 through 1. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and hit that likey poo button. Yeah, I'm giving you 3 things to do. If you only do one of them, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine.